Hey, yo, everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review. Today we're going to be doing DC Universe Rebirth, Batman Volume 1, I Am Gotham. So, I know I've been doing, for my graphic novel reviews, a lot of the New 52 stuff, and I do plan on going back to it, but right now, Rebirth is hot. A lot of people are jumping into it, a lot of people are liking it, and I wanted to kind of start things off doing the Batman graphic novel Rebirth reviews. And I mean, Rebirth has been a really good place for people to get back into DC Comics or to jump on to DC Comics. It's bringing a lot of the old elements from before New 52 and adapting it into the New 52 universe, while at the same time making things accessible for new readers. So that's kind of why I want to tackle this particular graphic novel and just Rebirth in general. I gave my views and opinions in my Comic Load videos, as well as talking about comparing Rebirth and New 52 with each other, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the first volume in the Batman series for Rebirth. Before I get into this, I want to give a shout out to my boy Paul, who has supported me on Patreon. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Paul has his own YouTube channel. You guys may know him. He's the Gay Comic Book Geek. He does some really good stuff over on his channel. I recommend checking him out. You can just type in everything into the search and it should pull him right up. But thank you very much for supporting me on Patreon. And thank you to everyone that has thus far. If you want to support me on Patreon, please, the link is down below. Any support that has gone to Patreon is going to go into my channel, whether it's to improve on the camera, which, as you guys can see, is not the best camera in the world, to improve on maybe getting a mic and getting editing software, and just overall bringing better quality to my reviews. In addition to that, it allows me to buy more content to review, and it's a graphic novel. So, again, thank you for everyone. Thank you, Paul, for supporting me on Patreon. If you want to, the link is down below, as well as if you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I don't go on Twitter quite as much as I used to, but Instagram I am on regularly. And, of course, you can find me on Facebook pretty easily, too. With that said, let's talk about I Am Gotham. Like I said, this is the first volume in the Rebirth Batman saga, and it picks up exactly where we left off in the New 52. Now, the great thing about Rebirth is you don't need to read anything beforehand to jump into this. So while it does take a lot of elements and tones and feels from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run, don't worry about it. We got a new team here. We have Tom King, who was previously on Grayson, and we have David Finch, who has been sprinkled throughout the DC universe. I believe before this, his most recent work was on Wonder Woman with his wife, Meredith Finch. And basically, Batman's in Gotham doing Batman stuff, you know, protect the helpless, beat up bad guys, and just generally looking like a badass while doing it, because, you know, he's Batman. But danger arises up in the air when a plane is going out of control and Batman launches himself up to try to stop this plane from crashing. And we have a kind of a surreal moment where Batman accepts the fact that he's probably going to die in this situation. But he doesn't. Two superpowered beings show up, and when I'm talking superpower, I'm not talking like Black Canary, Canary Cry. I'm talking about like Superman jacked up, can lift up this plane and ease it down into the harbor. And these individuals are known as Gotham and Gotham Girl. Now, we learned throughout the comic that Gotham and Gotham Girl start training with Batman. They were inspired by Batman to become heroes because of events that happen in their life. They want to save Gotham, and that's why they take up the name Gotham and Gotham Girl. Of course, not everything is perfect, and there's always evil lurking in the background, especially when it comes down to a Batman comic. And there's mysterious forces, which I don't want to get into quite much because I don't want to ruin the reveal, but there's mysterious forces at work that does kind of mess with the relationship of Batman, Gotham, and Gotham Girl. So the question is this: can Batman bring in new allies, and at the same time, can these allies be superpowered people like Superman and Wonder Woman, or will things go awry? Well, the answer to both those questions is yes. But how can that be? Well, you're just going to have to read and see. Let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Tom King does a very good job at laying the groundwork for his run in Batman. He's a very long-term writer, and you see that in his Grayson work, and then also I believe he was on Vision in Marvel, and that was a praised book. I didn't get to read it. Again, I don't read as much Marvel as I read DC. But he's laying a lot of the groundwork in this, and it does a very good job at doing that. Just because Gotham and Gotham Girl introducing this, and you think there's going to be a cliche of them going evil and taking him on, that's not the case. These characters, for the most part, or at least one of them, is here to stay and stay as a Batman ally. I don't want to spoil things too much, but there is a conflict between the three, Batman, Gotham, and Gotham Girl. And not only is this laying the groundwork for his allies, this is laying the groundwork for the next two story arcs, which is I Am Suicide and I Am Bane, with introducing villains and characters and outside elements. This comic also takes a unique tone when it comes down to Batman that isn't taken too often, but it's nice when you see it. When you look at Scott Snyder when he rebooted, basically, the DC Universe with New 52 and Batman, although it's kept a lot of its previous elements, the one thing that he did is he made the comic be a very dark, noir, grounded Batman comic. There wasn't too much fantasticness to it. Not too many superpowered individuals. There was some science fiction in it, but it was basically what Batman is, which is a very noir, street level, dealing with reasonable threats. Towards the end of his run with Bloom, that does change, but this embraces the fact that Batman is a superhero, that he is dealing with a world that has superpowered individuals, and it does so in such a great, realistic way on how Batman would approach these situations. Not to spoil something, but something happens really cool in this comic, and I'm going to give you a little bit spoiler, but not too much, in which Batman takes on a superpowered individual. Again, I'm not going to say who, but I mean, he's going up against an individual that outclasses him in any way. Now, typically when writers write Batman, they approach him in two ways. They approach a realistic Batman way, and they approach the Bat God, and we all know what the Bat God is, okay? The Bat God is Batman that's able to win any situation, outthink people, and take down the Justice League, and go up against Darkseid. And I'm not saying this is a bad way to interpret Batman, it's just a different way. I enjoy the Bat God interpretation of Batman from time to time. It feeds my ego of being a Batman fan, but at the same time it's nice to see Batman get the shit beat out of him, and then try to get out of a situation. That's a good thing Scott Snyder did. He beat the shit out of Batman, and then Batman would just win the day at the end. He wasn't Bat God throughout the whole entire thing. But in this, again, Batman goes up against an individual that is superpowered, and you know what he does? He calls it Justice League. I would do that if I was Batman. Oh shit, Darkseid's in Gotham. Hey, Justice League, can you help me out? Or, oh shit, the Joker has taken over Gotham. Maybe I should have the Justice League help me out. Like, it's a card that you can't play too much, but like, why wouldn't Batman call the Justice League when shit hits the fan? I mean, it happened in a previous issue, I think of Green Arrow, and my memory is vague, but I believe Ollie and Black Canary were on a boat. I think Roy Harper was injured and like dying, and Black Canary's like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" And Green Arrow basically goes, "Don't worry about this, Clark!" And he calls Superman, and because Superman, he can hear everything. Superman flies over and says, "Roy Harper." I could be a little muddy on the details on that, but I do remember that situation happening at some point, and it's true. Like, if you have a situation like that, why wouldn't you call the Justice League? So I just like the fact that this is a very logical, laid-out story that really presents Batman in an intelligent and great light, but not making him into the Bat God. Second thing that is really good in this is David Finch's art. I have been very vocal of this. I'm not a fan of the Rebirth costume. And I can't pinpoint what it is until I really dug deep into it. It's not the purple cape, it's not the yellow outlining on the bat symbol, and it's not the black belt. It's the fact that it is coming after, quite possibly, the best Batman costume. Jim Lee's New 52 reboot costume is the best Batman costume. This is my favorite Batman figure, and this is my favorite Batman costume. As you can see, I have a whole section up here dedicated to the New 52 costume. Well, I actually have a rhyme and reason to this whole whole bookcase. It's organized in a certain way. But this is, by and by, the best costume. Why they changed it, I don't know. Because while the Rebirth costume isn't bad, it's not something I would make as the standard status quo costume. And while some characters like Superman and Wonder Woman, as good as their costumes were, needed to be updated and changed, some characters weren't. Flash's costume stayed the same, Aquaman's costume relatively stayed the same except for the collar, and Green Lantern's costume stayed the same. Batman's, however, changed, and I don't get it. I don't know if it was something that Greg Capullo did, or if it's something that editorial mandated on him, whatever the case may be. I just don't care for the Rebirth costume. I love the New 52 costume, and I can't wait for the day it comes back. In saying that, of all the artists who have interpreted the Rebirth costume, David Finch does it best. And he does a lot of things with the Rebirth costume that I like, that I think needs to be done. Like, for example, one of the things I don't like the Rebirth costume is the fact that it kind of pins on the shoulders, rather than it coming down from the center and allowing it to drape down on Batman in that very Batman the Animated Series fashion. It kind of pins off on the shoulders. If you look at how Finch does it, he does it in the old-fashioned way, and with the exception of the belt, is basically the New 52 costume with a different coat of paint. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I like it. But Finch does a very good job of drawing this. And not just that, but Finch in general does a very good job with the art. And I feel like he's getting better and better with each project he's getting on. So I'm really enjoying his art in this. A fun fact for you, in the flashback scene with Gotham and Gotham Girl, it was set years ago in the original issue that came out, like issue 3 or 4, they had Batman wearing the Rebirth suit, but then they changed it in this, and they made it into the New 52 suit, which it should be, because if it was years ago, he wouldn't be wearing the Rebirth suit. I found that to be funny and interesting. This issue has good pacing, and the final issue is quite tragic, and at the same time, heartwarming. It shows a gentler side to Batman, and I like the outside elements that are introduced here, the villains that play a part. I think it's really cool that these villains have been introduced, and again, they play a larger picture for Batman. So, kudos to them on that. And the last thing that's really good on this is Gotham and Gotham Girl are interesting and fun characters, so I enjoy them. Bad. The only bad I could say is that this comic serves better as laying the groundwork for the entire run. As an individual standalone story, it's fun and it's interesting, but it doesn't blow me away. This is more serving to the grander picture, which is what I was talking about Tom King being a long-term writer. But putting that aside, it's still a good book, and I still recommend picking it up because, like I said, going forward, Tom King's run only gets better, and I guess that's the direction you want to go as. You want to get better with each comic and with each story. You don't want to go worse, so it's good that it's progressing better, and you're going to need to get this issue, this book, in order to understand the rest. But as a standalone story, it's still good, and I still recommend picking it up. Not as strong of a start as Scott Snyder's run on the New 52 was, but still a very good, strong run, and I thoroughly enjoy it. The great thing about Rebirth for Batman, I keep on saying Superman, is that not much has changed between him and New 52. A lot of the New 52 history is still intact, whether it be the costume, the stories, the villains, or even the tone to a degree. But you do see some old elements being sprinkled on here. Like one of the villains that show up in here is an old Batman villain and being reintroduced. We haven't really seen them in the New 52. I think they showed up once, and I could be wrong. And we see another villain from just the DC universe in general getting introduced in here. So a lot of the old elements is being, kind of pressed upon this, but at no way contradicting any of the New 52. So if you're a big New 52 Batman fan like I am, don't worry, it all stays intact, everything's good. It's not like Superman's where everything gets changed, or Wonder Woman's where everything was a lie. For Batman, it's still intact and still the same. So, in saying that, I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Iam Gotham, a great jumping on point for current comic book readers. And this is Andrew saying peace out for now.